Well, good afternoon, East Coasters. It's 12 o'clock. Good morning, West Coasters. And it would be good evening for those of you who are in Italy. Hey, today is a lunch and learn session that we're going to be doing on digital retailing in the automotive industry. I am going to give everyone a few moments to jump in, and would you say hello? And absolutely, it's a pleasure to do these kind of ad hoc coaching sessions because, man, I just get so frustrated when I take a look at the pace of change in our industry and sometimes how slow it is. I'll also just put my email in the comments so that if you have some follow-up questions or you want to show me something, I'm also looking for some auto dealers that think that they're doing something unique or something outstanding for our upcoming March event, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But since we are going live and talking about digital retailing, I'd like to get some people to raise their hand. I'd like to have a conversation today. And sometimes when you do live stream, the conversation's one way. Today, I'd like to have a two-way conversation with people in the auto industry, whether you're on the vendor side or manufacturer side or on the dealer side. If you would, make sure you say hello in the comments so I identify who you are and where you work, where you sit in the automotive industry. This video, this live stream will stay up on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter for the next few days. And so if there's something we talk about or something you miss, or if you're not grabbing this in the live stream, you can always go back and replay it. So say hello on the live stream. If you're in the automotive industry, I'd like to talk about some of the challenges that I see as we get ready for a very big one-day event in March. And so I'm really excited about that. Hey, John, how are you? John, you've been a veteran of the automotive industry and love to see your perspective on this general question. What problem is digital retailing trying to solve? I want to throw that out there early. What problem is digital retailing trying to solve? Because it's not very clear to me that that has been properly identified. Let me just show you a few slides from the deck that I built, and this is important for us to talk about. Between now and March 17th, when we're doing our one-day live event on digital retailing, there's some questions that I want to have on these Wednesday lunch and learns leading up to this. What problems we trying to fix? Where does training, merchandising, marketing come in? How do you decide whose technology is the best for your culture? What happens if the OEM is pushing you in a different direction that the dealer group wants to go in? Matt Raymond, come on. Team Auto Group, North Carolina. Matt, this is the perfect conversation for you. And since you have a very interesting perspective, love for you to chime in. What problem is digital retailing trying to solve? We're going to talk about that today. Subprime, I just got a email this morning from the MacGyver brothers up in Canada. They're an independent used car dealer, and they're finding that the digital retailing tools seem to break down or fail when we talk about subprime customers. And then the question is, who can you trust to give you the best advice on implementation and process? So we want to talk about that today for sure. I want to remind everyone, please, that the Modern Retailing Simplified event is happening on March 17th. This is a one-day event. We have some amazing keynotes and panels and workshops. It's everything that I believe needs to be talked about right now as we get back to retail as normal. John makes a comment here, in our sales channels, my biggest challenge is just getting my sales team connected with a customer and start a conversation. When my team gets connected, they do a good job. Okay, so could digital retailing maybe is the problem, really connecting the online shopper with the dealership earlier? We'll talk about that. Thank you, John, for sharing that. I'd love to hear what Matt has to say. Also want to remind everyone that next week is the annual AWA Awards Ceremony. We normally do it live when we're at NADA. This year we're doing it virtual like everyone is doing. And we have some exciting new technology winners to share with you. We will be announcing the 2021 Lighthouse Award. We're going to do that on the 22nd because I think a lot of people will be excited on who we're recognizing this year. Remember, the Lighthouse Award is given to someone who's really dedicated time, energy, and effort into educating and changing for the better the automotive industry, including helping dealers at Tier 3 retail. So if you have not gotten your free invite, just go to brianpash.com, and you're going to want to see the Digital Retailing Awards, the Website Awards, the Marketing Automation Awards, the Sales Process Awards, the Business Intelligence Awards. You're going to be really excited to see some of the new, product reviews and how we're doing it this year. Each product that we reviewed has a standalone video, which will allow dealers to see more of the products. So on March 17th, we have the one-day event, Modern Retailing Simplified. I'm going to kick it off with a fireside chat with Rusty West from MarketScan. And MarketScan powers many of the digital retailing solutions. So MarketScan has an amazing story to tell. And also, since they work with so many digital retailing companies, since they're calculating millions of individual car payment transactions a day, it's pretty interesting to get their perspective on where modern retailing is going. But we're going to have workshops, we're going to have panels, we're going to have keynotes, including two exciting keynote panels that were recently added. Cox Automotive and Goobagoo will be sponsors as well. You'll see Roadster, Moto Insight, Car Now, MarketScan, Cars.com, Dealer Inspire, Dealer eProcess, A to Z Sync. Really looking forward to conversation with Chip Perry and what the A to Z Sync team is doing. So that's on March 17th. Matt we found that many people don't modify the selling price. Okay, but we're seeing a higher use of the product by people with so-so credit versus 800 that could transact online. It has really turned into a glorified payment calculator with a trade tool. Very interesting, Matt. So since the MacGyver brothers said they're having some problems with people with challenged credit, does digital retailing today, as we know it, really fail poorly when someone has poor credit? That's a good question, to ask. I'm doing some really cool workshops and panels. So I'm going to be talking about the next steps in digital retailing and modern retailing, and then the training strategies. We're going to be talking to some dealers and some vendors who understand the training piece. And I think this is the most frustrating piece about today's ecosystem is we're seeing just technology bolted on websites, very little training, very little process improvement, very little change management coaching. And what ends up happening is that these tools, along with Matt's comment, have really become just another lead form on the website. And that goes back to the question, what problem is digital retailing supposed to be solving? I'll be doing some hands-on workshops as well. We're going to be looking at dealer websites and talking about things you could do to redesign them to get more engagement. And then I want to show you some things in Google Analytics, especially those of you who are using Roadster. There's some new things that they've done, I think, that can really help measurement and then also SEO. And these are some cool things that this one-day event is going to help. Kevin asked a question, does anybody completely finish the purchase online? I think for now it's still a lead gen tool. Great question, Kevin. At NADA live stream, I did a workshop, and if you have access to NADA, you may want to take a look at the workshop that I conducted with guest Jason Monahan from Newton Automotive Group in Nashville, or the Nashville area. And he was mentioning that he does get people around, I think he said in the month of January, about 15 people went all the way through, and maybe 100 or so other people in some form of using for the tool. A little bit has to do with whether it's a new car or a used car, and what type of environment you are for credit as well. There are some dealers that are sitting in areas where, say, special finance is higher than in other areas. So I think that has a little bit to do. So here's the question I want to throw out there as we go head on. What are we attempting to solve? I mean, that's what I'm focused on right now, because I don't know about you, but every week there seems to be someone else coming into the fray. Someone with, hey, we're doing digital retailing. We're seeing some mergers and acquisitions. I think Cliff Banks and Steve Greenfield do an excellent job of keeping us in touch with some of the transactional things. I see Digital Airstrike just recently made an acquisition of Lot Vantage. And I know Digital Airstrike, although I don't know their product that well, claims that they have a digital retailing platform. Now, I don't have any clients who are using it right now, but you know, we have so many people in the mix with different approaches, and then we have the OEM issue. And my question is what's the problem we're trying to solve? And until we understand what problem we're trying to solve, do you agree with me that product development will just be a guess? And I would think in some respects, digital retailing tools have been developed in a vacuum, and there's been very little consumer testing, very little surveying of customer behavior in anything more than a little spot thing. You know, getting 25 people from the service waiting lounge and asking them questions, okay, that's could be a start. But I'm not aware of much real consumer testing that would be a disciplined approach to understand what is the problem we're trying to solve. And really the question is, what if that problem has nothing to do with technology? What is it has to do with the fear of transparency? You know, it's one thing for the OEMs to say, we want consumers to be able to know the affordability of any vehicle they're interested in buying online, to make it easy for them to make a decision. But what if that's not the culture at the dealership? And what if that's not the culture that even the OEM promoted? For example, Mercedes-Benz requires dealers to advertise cars at MSRP, and until the consumer gives them information, they cannot talk really online or post anything online about price. So it's, okay, we will only talk price with you if you're willing to trade some information. That already, right, that already sets a tone. What about one-price stores? One-price stores, if you're a Subaru one-price store, you still can't show your one price. So what if some of the problems we're trying to solve haven't been resolved at the OEM level? What if some of the problems we're trying to solve haven't been solved yet at the state level with DMV? Until we know what problem we're trying to solve, we're not going to get very far. Let's go back to the slide deck for a minute, because I think some interesting things. Here's my point. Nissan recently partnered with a digital retailing company called CarSaver. You might know CarSaver. It's a company that's owned by the investment group led by Sean Wolfington, and CarSaver did the partnership with Walmart to allow car buying inside select Walmarts. And then that technology was adopted by Nissan in their digital retailing platform called Nissan at Home. So Nissan has their approach to what digital retailing, and according to Nissan, this platform allows the full transaction. It's integrated into MMAC, and a complete end-to-end transaction can occur with the CarSaver tech that's powering Nissan at Home. I haven't tested it. Toyota has a different approach. They have SmartPath. And when you go on Toyota dealer's website, they talk about the SmartPath complete purchase funnel, which is very different than the Nissan experience. And then you have dealer groups like Lithia, who's promoting Driveway, which is their online way to purchase a car and have the car delivered to you, okay? And then even the interfaces, there's so many different variations. So most of you know that this is a Roadster VDP, and Roadster knows that dealers left unto themselves will screw up the website design. So they control the user interface, the user experience, by adding this subdomain onto the dealer's website. And, I've had lots of thoughts over the years about this, but it's actually extremely important to understand that most digital retailing companies outside of Roadster are not doing any design coaching with dealers on their VDP and SRP. It's a complete joke. There are so many horrible SRP and VDP designs out there. Roadster's smart enough to say, well, listen, given freedom, the dealer will screw it up. So let's make a unified experience. Depending on which platform you use, some of the tools slide out to the right and allow you to stay on the VDP and then work, but you understand these slide outs kind of cover over whatever was there before. Then you have others that pop over, so they fade out the VDP and overlay the digital retailing experience. The problem is, I'm not sure if it's working. Whoop, look at that. Whoop, there we go. Let's go back here to me. I'm not sure if it's working. Kevin asked the question, how many people go through the whole thing? And I'm not sure digital retailing means a successful digital retailing or modern retailing experience means they have to go all the way through. That is not my criteria. That is not my criteria. But what's the problem we're trying to solve? If we don't know what problem we're trying to solve, then wouldn't everyone's idea be okay? Are we supposed to be simplifying the shopping experience so consumers know exactly what to click on and what to do? Or is it okay to still have 10 call to action buttons on the VDP? Are we really trying to show the affordability of cars with payments? Then why aren't we able to shop by payments? Terry Sabatia, I think, is one of the early pioneers of the shop by payment function. There are very few websites that allow shop by payment. Kevin's mentioned, I think home delivery is where we are now. Do the app with an employee at the store, then deliver the car. Our 24 group stores doing this at a large scale. Okay, home delivery. Okay, you are showing the desktop. I don't think our customers will buy on their phone. Okay, so, well, it's interesting you say that, John. I am showing desktop experiences because sometimes the mobile experience is so small on a live stream, everything gets lost. Rocket Mortgage is an app, and Rocket Mortgage has completely transformed the mortgage experience. And you could even say Zillow or some of the other real estate apps have completely transformed. Someone say, well, no one would buy an app if they only were able to look at photos on their phone. Or no one would be able to really complete a credit app or a mortgage approval if they did most of the work on their phone. Well, I'm not as concerned whether someone decides to use a digital retailing tool on their mobile phone or a desktop. I need to understand what is the problem we're trying to solve. Kevin says, as long as people want to negotiate, it will be a challenge. Customers are conditioned to want to negotiate. Now, Kevin, I know that there is a group of people who like to negotiate. But there's another, and I think even larger group, who doesn't like to negotiate. They just want to feel that they're getting a fair price. Now, there's different personalities in different times. I think that first generation immigrants into the United States who had no money, who had to fight to make ends meet, every dollar really counted. And I think that culture was a negotiation culture. I don't know about you, but when I look at a younger generation, now my son's going to be turning 24, he's not a negotiator. Okay, if he feels that the price is fair, he'll take it. If he'll educate himself to know if somebody's asking way too much money for something. But negotiation, I'm not sure. I don't think that negotiation is the primary or dominant thought of most car shoppers. They're looking, can I afford this car? And, is it within, my, budget? I'm just surprised when I ask the digital retailing companies what problem they're trying to solve. When I ask dealers what problem they're trying to solve, no one seems to want to draw a line in the sand. I think one of the goals of digital retailing should be to allow a consumer to discover the affordability of a vehicle to enable them to make a purchase decision, whether they decide to go in the dealership or not or test drive. We can't force that. Greg Reed, thank you so much. This is why I'm trying to have this conversation. That's why on March 17th, we're having this event. I think there's been a lot of innovation in websites, but most of them are still awfully clunky. Greg Reed said, dealers fear loss of control. Greg, thank you for bringing up something. If there is a significant fear of loss of control, then any technology solution, right, isn't going to work. Matter of fact, a general manager may even sabotage the success of a digital retailing platform if they really believe they were losing control. I would say dealers don't realize how much business they're losing in their current system. So the impression of being in control, I think, is a fallacy. Let me explain. These are national numbers, and it could be worse or better for an individual store. But a lot of dealers, and I was just looking at a dealer's website the other day, and the VDP looked like Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. Had a big green button that pulsated, get e-price, and then it had a Citibank button in Citibank's colors, and then it, schedule a test drive, which was a stupid form, and ask us a question, which was another stupid form. But this big green pulsating button was another form. And dealers don't realize that less than 40% of the people who click the button, meaning they were interested in getting that e-price, less than 40% fill out the form. And those who fill out often use throwaway email addresses. So dealers talk to about 20%, 2 of every 10 people. To me, that's called losing control, because you had somebody that your marketing dollars brought to your website, and now they're trying to exploit affordability, and you're saying, well, listen, I don't show anything unless you give me the number. Now, people know once you give the phone number or whatever, that you're going to call them 12 times and send them 8 emails. And what if somebody just wants to know, hey, my lease is going to be up in the next 6 months. Let me see the affordability of this car. As a result of fearing control is being lost, dealers will do things to sabotage a modern retail or digital retailing experience. That's the reason why I'm asking, what's the problem we're trying to solve? You know what no one says? Get more of my shoppers as customers. I don't hear it. I want more people who come to my website to actually buy from me. They don't really think like that. Here's what they do. I want more leads. I hear this all the time. I say, well, what is digital retailing doing for your business? And they said, well, it's becoming our best lead source. And I was like, what does that mean? Well, we get the leads and our BDC follows up. So I said, oh, so someone's on your website and now you're chasing them. You didn't want to serve them while they're on the website. You really didn't want that person to transact with you because they had some questions right then and there, and you popped up a form and said, no one can help you right now. Well, we'll chase you. Kevin says, stress-free opportunity is what the goal is, but when sales staff and managers are paid on gross, there'll always be a conflict. That's why I think the conversation that Chip Perry, CEO of A to Z Sync, I think will be very interesting to hear. Also, there are a number of people that have come from a one-price model where the people are paid a salary and not on gross profit. Listen, we need to make money, don't get me wrong, but here's what I know. When we solve a problem that is a real problem for the consumer, we will get more people who engage with our marketing and our website in the showroom buying a car. If all digital retailing is another lead form, and as Matt said, with a glorified payment calculator, is much going to change. If there's no marketing and merchandising in the store, nothing's going to change. If when someone comes in the store, they're using a different set of tools than the tools that are on the website that give different numbers, nothing's going to change. If a dealer has the TrueCar trade tool and the KBB trade tool, and inside their digital retailing, the trade pending trade tool, all giving different numbers, nothing's going to change. If a dealer has a button for the Citibank financing app and the DealerTrack financing app, and also has a financing app inside their digital retailing tool, so there's 3 buttons on the BDP with 3 different forms of credit checking, nothing's going to change. Meaning, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Someone should say, I want to sell more cars at a lower cost. I want to sell more cars. I wish someone would say, what problem are you trying to solve? I want to sell more cars at a lower cost. That's what I think the answer should be. What does that mean? I have high turnover because working in automotive retail sucks. That's costing me money. It takes a lot of time to chase down people, so my BDC is quite a large cost. And then I have turnover in the BDC because no one likes chasing people and making 100 phone calls and talking to 10 people and sending 100 emails and getting 10 responses. So we lose a lot of people. Oh, so you're just wasting time and time and time. So digital retailing should be, I want to lower my cost per sale. I want to lower my operating costs. But in order to do that, you're going to have to change the way which you operate. So Kevin, dealers want to earn more with less effort. And here's that may be true, but I would say that modern retail has the potential of having dealers be more efficient with their employees' times to make the job more enjoyable, more rewarding, make the experience for the customer more enjoyable and more rewarding, so everyone wins. That is, hey, Kev, I would love for you, if you would like to be on a panel on March 17th, please just shoot me an email, brian@brianpash.com. Why not? Let's talk about it. You know, I'm looking for people who can share stories about success. The other day I posted on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, any dealer who's doing something really exciting with digital retailing, let me know. I'd like to feature them and have them on a panel. You know how many dealers responded? Zero. I made a call, and you know, I'm connected to over 20,000 people on LinkedIn. Maybe it's 30,000. I don't know. Twitter, Facebook. And I just had a simple question. If your dealership is doing something really awesome with digital retailing, if you think that you had some breakthroughs, I want to talk to you. Zero. Now, if I said, hey, I want a dealer who has a really good BDC process, I'd get volunteers. Hey, I need somebody who has a really good showroom design, I get volunteers. But the truth of the matter is I'm not sure if anybody knows what problem digital retailing is supposed to solve it. I think it should be, I need to be more efficient with my capital. I need to lower my cost to operate a dealership. I need to be more efficient with my staff's time, because that's a big cost. You see, gross is a false friend. Just tracking gross is a false friend. If it's taking you 30, 40% more man hours to sell a car, if it's taking 30 to 40%, 50%, 70% more man hours, more labor hours to sell a car than it should, where's gross taking into compensation? That I remember Gino Walsh from the Cavalli Group, they have a formula which brings in labor costs at the store, and digital retailing, I don't think that anybody's in agreement with what problem it's supposed to solve. John said, do you think it's zero because no one has solved it? Here's my problem. I don't think anybody has done a thorough and convincing study on it, John. Brian Ortega, I'd love for you to be able to talk about Toyota SmartPath and what you're doing with it. You know, Glenn Rizzo from SET was really pioneering digital retailing in the SET, Southeast Toyota district. And I remember doing some workshops with the dealers, and someone from Toyota was there talking about SmartPath. I know they've been rolling it out, but I'd love to hear how it's really working in the field. So on the one-day event called Digital Retailing Simplified, I think we have to simplify our focus and ask ourselves a question: what problem are we trying to solve? Because if I ask dealers, what's your experience? And here's what they say. Yeah, it's a pretty good lead tool. Was leads the problem? No, really, was leads the problem? I don't think leads are our problem. It's, you know, are people talking? I asked this question. Are people talking about these tools and how easy you made it? No, no one's really said anything. Well, did you call it anything and market it? No, we just stuck the button on our website. Is there anything in the showroom that would tell people that there's a new way to buy a car? No, we haven't done that. Why do you have 2 different trade tools on your VDP? Oh, I don't know. No one seemed to notice that. Why do you have 3 different finance applications on your website? Oh, really? We never saw that. Is anybody really helping dealers lower their transactional costs, create a better experience for consumers? I'm telling you, it drives me nuts. And here's the problem. The people in the digital retailing industry are my friends. I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm not saying something here and not telling them. But here's what I tell them, guys, you can't keep on selling modern retailing or digital retailing technology if you're not going to help them redesign their websites, simplify their websites, help them with their CRM communications. And don't even get me started on the CRM communications, but most of the digital retailing companies are pretty much at the point where they have to build their own CRM to really make the retail experience more efficient. Meaning the APIs that are available and the hocus pocus delays and the merged interface of records, man. I mean, Joe Chura from Dealer Inspire has said, hey, maybe we should build a CRM. I don't know if he's working on that. Alex Schneider from Frickin' Tech is like, hey, people are starting to work out of our IllumiQuote tool as their CRM because it shows everything the consumer did online, every form of communication. And then you have companies that are probably not even on your radar, like Podium, who most people think is a reputation management company, but they're a full stack communication platform plus payment platform, like doing billions of dollars of payments a year through their payment platform. What happens if they put some focus to help dealers with payments and communication and integrated with some DR tools? Kevin says, text. If you're not communicating via text, you're missing out. But here's the other point, Kevin. Does the digital retailing tools help a consumer on their mobile phone? One of the cool things that I saw when Alex Schneider showed me IllumiQuote is their first quality lead response is a link that says, here's the car, and you can find out the affordability of the car. Just click on this link. And it's this really the simplest interface, and it has little like emojicons where it says predetermined text is like, okay, this is good, or hey, I'm going to schedule a test drive, or hey, I'm interested in this car, meaning it makes the user experience better. I just saw the latest update to Cox digital retailing, and it was so much better interface than the earlier versions of what DealerTrack had. I mean, people are working on improving. Goobagoo has a new interface. CarNow has a new interface. People are trying, but the question is if no one's really focused on what problem we're trying to solve, then I think all of these are going to miss the mark. Meaning, can anybody give me an amen that the problem that we really have to solve is the motivation of the dealer and how they want to be perceived in the marketplace? The problem we have to solve is to show dealers that their old ways of doing business are not sustainable. The problem we're trying to solve is showing dealers that they can lower their cost per sale through efficiencies and transparency and through some tools. Aren't we trying to retrain the floor? Aren't we trying to reframe what the car buying experience is? So how can people buy tools, get 2 or 3 hours of training? They put a button on the website and they're like, okay, you're doing digital retailing. Like, that's a joke. That is an absolute joke. That's not changing anything. All that is selling software, and it's another lead form. That's why on March 17th, I want to have an open conversation. Who can register for the event? OEMs, vendors, dealership managers. You can go to brianpash.com for that. But today, and I'm going to do this every Wednesday at noon. How come there are not more dealers raving about their digital retailing platform? How come consumers aren't raving about that experience to the dealer? Maybe we've just been missing the mark. There are a few dealers, by the way, that are passionate about being transparent. And we'll have some of those dealers on the panels, but they're few and far between. And then what happens when the dealer group is trying to create a brand experience in the local market, but they represent 10 different OEMs, and each OEM is forcing them to use a different tool. Do you see the problem there? I'm going to go back to my deck for a minute, and there we go. So, in today's Lunch and Learn, isn't it funny that there's no consensus? There's not even a belief that it's really working to solve a problem. Someone says it's a glorified payment calculator. Someone says it's another lead tool. Someone says it's just helping with remote deliveries. That doesn't sound revolutionary at all. Now, I will tell you, dealers who are all in tell me that their grosses are higher and that they're spending less time to transact. You heard that from Gina Walsh. You heard that from a number of people at the DMSC conference and the AAS conference. But this conference is going to be, I think, groundbreaking in the quality of conversations we're going to have. And next week, we're going to be talking about some of the best platforms and what we see as the leaders in digital retailing technology as well. The best way to reserve a free ticket for the award ceremony, or to register for Modern Retailing Simplified, just go to brianpash.com and click on the blue events button, and you can get registered for sure. I'm seeing some comments coming through. John saying, that's the issue. Training and accountability are the biggest issues. I know it's our biggest challenge. Yeah. Let me end with a couple other stories, and I will allow everyone to, kind of get on. I consult with dealers and dealer groups, and, I'm working recently with a dealer group who decided to put a digital retailing platform on all their stores. Their marketing agency did not have all of the digital retailing conversion goals set up, which means they couldn't import the conversions, the leads that were generated from the digital retailing platform into Google Ads or Facebook to improve bidding and campaign optimization. The pages on the digital retailing platform violated Google's SEO tagging. No one saw that. And the websites themselves weren't simplified to drive more people through the digital retailing platform. Now, notice what we have here. We have an advertising problem, but since the agency is not responsible for digital retailing, that wasn't on their plate. We had an SEO problem, but the person who was hired for SEO knew nothing about the digital retailing platform, so ignored that to the detriment of the dealer. And then the website company, which knew that the digital retailing platform was installed and the dealer wanted to move the traffic through to the digital retailing platform, didn't do anything to simplify the CTA buttons. Here's what's happening. Everyone's pointing fingers. It's not me, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. And I think the dealer principal gets screwed at the end. Because even in OEM programs, it's often a jump ball where technology is installed, but no one is advising how to maximize the customer experience. Somebody from LinkedIn says 5 cooks in the kitchen. Yeah, 5 cooks in the kitchen. That's why when dealers hire me, I don't sell digital retailing software. I don't sell websites. I don't sell chat and communication tools. I can help pull all the pieces together, get all the engagement measured, getting all the goals. But my challenge is to our industry, there are over 20, it could be 30 now, digital retailing companies all telling dealers they have a solution. My question is what's the problem they're trying to solve? Because it can't be measurement, because none of the digital retailing companies are helping dealers measure. It couldn't be to have more efficient marketing, because no one's connecting digital retailing in their marketing. It couldn't be to get greater organic visibility for buying cars online, because no one's paying attention to SEO. It couldn't be to create a more simplified retail shopping experience. With the exception of Roadster, everyone else is just throwing another button. It couldn't be to allow the consumer to transact and find the affordability of the car if it's form gated. Oh, but maybe that's the manufacturer's mandate. Okay, it's still there. You see, what's the problem we're trying to solve? So if somebody is less brand loyal and they go to one website and it feels very open and transparent, and the company makes great cars, and they go to another and it feels like a lost maze of pop-ups and forms and email abuse and check, where do you think the consumer will go? Michael said, dealer principals don't understand digital marketing. They understand, and then I didn't see the rest here. Let me see, show. They understand ... Okay. Oh, isn't that cute? So that's why March 17th is so important. I encourage the entire automotive industry, the vendor community, the OEM community, the dealer community. Let's get together for one day and really hash this out. We really have to look at our industry and say what problem we're trying to solve. And then make sure the tools that we're buying solve the problem. That's a big, loud sneeze. So stay tuned. Next Wednesday, we'll have a follow-up conversation. I want to give some specific examples just to stir the pot a little bit. But I hope you'll go to brianpash.com and get registered for Digital Retailing Simplified. Tickets are $97. Very, very affordable. And don't forget, next week is the AWA Awards. That's a free event. Both events you can sign up for at brianpash.com. But under no circumstances will I allow our industry to run into a wall. Someone has to speak up for the dealer. And I'm speaking up for the dealer. This digital things, what we're calling digital retailing right now, is truly confusing, complicated, maybe even a mess. And we need to understand what problem we're trying to solve. We got to reframe the conversation so that dealer principals know what they need to fix. It's not buying another tool. By the way, there are dealers on their third digital retailing tool. Third. They put one in, oh, that didn't work. I just got more leads. This one, no, that didn't work. I just got more leads. This one, I'm not really sure if it's working. There's no reflection looking in the mirror and saying, well, maybe what I'm doing is part of the problem. We need to have a better discussion. And do customers know what digital retailing is? No. And whoever asked that question, this is just an internal buzzword, right? All that consumers know is, can I afford that car? And honestly, we don't really make it easy for someone to know the affordability of a car. I love the trade-in tools that ask questions about their car that most consumers wouldn't even understand. What trim package do you have? What size is the engine in your car? I'm like, damn, I don't even know that. It's pretty funny. And then, of course, John brings it up again, the word CRM. I really think that many of the CRM platforms are broken because they were only designed to chase leads. They weren't really designed to have a comprehensive consumer discussion and kind of almost like a worksheet that evolves with their customer lifestyle. So we have a lot to talk about. So March 17th, Will you join me for that great conversation? It is going to be a great event, Modern Retailing Simplified, March 17th. Go to brianpash.com, get your team registered, and let me just be very clear. Whether you watch this live or later, if you're doing something outstanding that you believe is working, if you believe as a dealer, you're measuring things and you're seeing your costs go down, you're measuring things and you see customer engagement and CSI higher, I want you involved. I want to put you on a panel. I'd like you to share your story, have an active discussion. We're going to have some heavy hitters coming to this event. We'll be announcing the final speaking schedule this week. I mentioned that Cox and Gubagoo are added as sponsors, and they're going to be presenting keynote addresses. So we're going to be seeing the top people of the industry, but I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. What problem are you solving, and how can you prove that your platform is solving that problem? What problem are you solving, and how can you prove that your platform is solving that problem? That's what I want to hear from the vendor community. And from the dealer community, I'm going to ask the same question. What problem are you trying to solve? And how are you measuring that what you're doing is working? Or if you just really don't measure it all, we're going to try to get to the bottom of that. And I believe part of the problem that we have to solve is we have to stop thinking of retail as a chase tool. We chase customers later instead of having conversational commerce and engage them now. I think that is a fundamental problem. We have to move from a website that's not staffed, and so we have to chase, to a fully engaged website where we can support the online shopper to the same degree that we can support them in the showroom. That's a problem. That's one of the problems I think we have to fix. That's on my list. Conversational commerce is not popping up a chat button that says, "How can I help you?" By the way, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about relevant assistance from competent, trained people during normal business hours when a consumer is shopping. And John, we've been saying this for years. Your website is your virtual showroom. But the problem is that most dealers forget to staff their virtual showroom. They staff their physical showroom, but they don't staff their virtual showroom. Their virtual showroom is nothing but, sorry, no one's here to help you right now. Fill out a form and we'll chase you later when you're shopping or when you're trying to sleep or when you're back at work. We can't help you now. We're too busy chasing ghosts in the BDC to be able to help you now because you're on our website now and I know you're shopping now and I know I could probably get you in the dealership if I answered your question now, but I'm not going to because I'm too busy chasing ghosts from yesterday. Is that too harsh? Is that too harsh? And Michael said 40% of the population are illiterate. Digital retailing is not an option for them. And it's probably Michelle, right? I think it's Michelle. Michelle, I think you hit on another point. Not only there are people who don't feel comfortable filling out a form, but the people who are credit challenged have been credit shamed so that, they're afraid, for another rejection. Or the tool provides no information and says you have to call, which is like a red flag in itself. So, yeah, reality sucks. What problem are we trying to solve? There are some amazing companies that are doing some amazing technology. What we really need to do is now bring the ball that's on the 10-yard line into the end zone and really focus on the missing pieces to simplify modern retailing and automotive. It's still too complicated. It's still too clumsy. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. And on March 17th, we're going to try to move the ball closer to the end zone to have really robust conversations and let dealers hear from different companies to see who they believe is really trying to simplify automotive retailing. And that's the goal of that one-day event. So would you join? Would you please share with your friends, please? Somebody from LinkedIn says, John, used to be the virtual showroom, but it's quickly becoming your main showroom. If the customer wants to visit your physical location, they can. Yeah. And I will say, as a caveat, I never used services like DoorDash. My wife and I didn't. But now that we've done it a number of times, post-pandemic, when everyone's vaccinated, we'll still be using DoorDash. Our behavior has changed. I never ordered groceries online. Our behaviors have changed. If we really understand that consumers, for the first time, have had a major shift on how they buy things, a major shift, how they learn, how they communicate, how they have meetings, how they collaborate. Okay, it's a wake-up call. Will people always like to come into the dealership and test drive? For sure. But the problems that we're trying to solve for them, I still don't think are solved. And it's surely still too expensive for a dealer to sell cars. As a caveat, part of that is digital marketing is still very expensive and inefficient for dealers because of their service business really dominates the number of clicks from their paid advertising campaign. So dealers are taking 10 or 15,000 a month from variable ops, and if they realize that 3/4 of all the conversions were for service, they may get a little upset. We're going to be talking all about that on March 17th. So next Wednesday, I'll have a 12 o'clock session. I hope you'll join me. Invite some people out. We're going to talk about modern retailing and how do we reframe the conversation to help us really get the ball in the end zone. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Those of you who are watching post live, well, make sure you go to brianpash.com and get registered for the award ceremony, which is free, and the one-day modern retailing event under $100. Best value of the century. Talk to you soon.